totally impressive backseat experience. We've got a screen, we've got tons of space, knee room, headroom, leg room. There's nothing like this in America that even comes close, but this just feels really well thought out, totally sorted, and like, oh man, I actually don't know if I would choose this over a Tesla or not. The thing that Tesla does do is really good drivetrain tuning. One pedal driving, this doesn't offer. It's a huge miss. 3, 2, 1. Wow, great response, really good power, definitely picks up the pace. Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video, and welcome to another video from China. This is a car I've been really excited to test. It's called the Onvo L60. Now this car hasn't really made waves in the US quite yet, but I think it's gonna start getting waves across, especially here in China, Europe, and I think in the US as well. The Tesla Model Y has faced a ton of competition from other brands, some good and some bad, both in the American market, the European market, and of course, especially here in China. But for the first time, I think we actually have like sort of a worthy competitor. Now, I'm not one to go for all these Tesla killer clickbait headline things, but I do think this is a car we should definitely keep our eye on, especially in the context of the new Model Y that has just launched. In equivalent spec to equivalent spec, this is $7,000 to $10,000 less expensive than the Tesla Model Y here in the Chinese market, and that's US dollar equivalent. So it's a huge savings over a Tesla Model Y, and it offers some really cool features as well. It's high voltage, it offers battery swapping or fast charging, has some pretty cool driver assistance with actually FSD-like features, so it can even do more than Tesla Model Y can here in China. So it's definitely worth our look here at the Onvo L60. So join me for a full tour and my first drive of the Onvo L60. Well guys, holy smokes, you have seen a bunch of videos hopefully from us on the channel from here in China. If you've been following me on Twitter or other social media, you know we've been here filming a bunch, and I've been doing a lot of NIO videos. And that is because NIO was one of the very first electric automakers here in China to take making EVs seriously. And this is their new sub-brand called Onvo. They also have their other brand, Firefly. We'll talk about that in another video at some point in the future, but I'm really excited for that one. But the Onvo L60 really seems to be squarely positioned right at the Tesla Model Y. And honestly, it's about time. We've seen so many different competitors from Hyundai and Kia and Ford with the Mustang Mach-E, and the list goes on and on. But all of them honestly have pretty crap software, and there's always just something about them that doesn't really feel like it's even coming close to the Model Y, and the sales numbers have totally, agreed with that. Model Y outsells everything in the US market and here in China. Without question, the Model Y is still incredibly popular, but at least here there's some real competition. And if you look here to your screen, I can actually show you, look, this is its city FSD-like system. So you can see it basically is driver assistance, does auto lane changes, stops at stoplights, makes turns, and has to deal with the crazy driving here. No other competition in the US can even come close to the driver assistance of Tesla. So that is why, you're not going to hear the whole Tesla killer thing from me, but I just think it's really cool. Now, finally, at least here in the Chinese market, there's choice, there's competition. You're not locked into one option if you value good driving dynamics and good software. So I'm going to take you on a tour of this Onvo, show you around it in the context of the Model Y that has just launched as well. And I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised, as I have been. First of all, the price is just too hard to beat. In the Chinese market, of course, you have to look at, pricing here in China is different, but all of the Model Y and this qualify for incentives and all of these things. But when you look at spec for spec, this is US dollars, $7,000 to $10,000 less for each individual spec. You have two ways of getting this car in terms of powertrain. You can get rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and then you can buy it with the battery or lease the battery to even make the cost less expensive. Of course, it supports battery swapping, and it is high voltage, which is really cool. They claim over 900 volts fully charged. That's definitely something we're gonna have to take a look at and try out its charging performance and all of that stuff into the future. So I think what we should do is we should start in the back. Let's look at trunk space. Let's go around this thing, and then we'll talk after that some technical components as well. So looking here into the back of the Onvo, nice hatch, By the way, I was just recently in the factory for this vehicle in Hefei, and it was a really amazing facility. Great to see these things going down the line. It's built right alongside the super high-end Neo models like ES8. It was a really, really great experience. So really nice trunk space. Again, it's very similar to a Model Y, if you haven't guessed by now. Super deep, well, towing eye. You have your triangle, warning triangle there on the right. And then this is, of course, removable if you want to pull it out. Another nice thing you can do, of course, is fold the seats. So they will just go down and you've got, feels like identical room to me. Just a nice package, overall really nicely packaged. They've put extra space in areas where they can. There's a 12-volt outlet right here in the back as well, and even a little grocery bag holder on either side. So you can put your grocery bags and hold them up, which is super cool. Coming around this way, what's interesting is even though this is under the Neo sort of company, this is a sub-brand, they took a little bit different strategy than the Neo cars because this offers AC charging. So it can do about 7 kilowatt AC charging, which in China is actually pretty normal. And then of course it offers DC charging through GBT. It is a super high voltage system, and we think somewhere around 200 kilowatt peak plus or minus on the big battery. But again, it's all about the curve, and I just don't have much data on the curve. This isn't like a charging monster or anything like that, but it seems reasonable. And what's cool is Onvo over time can improve battery chemistry, introduce new batteries into their swap stations, and then owners can be upgraded in the future. We've actually seen Neo do that. I don't know if you guys remember a couple years ago, I think we tested an ET5 Touring in Munich, took it to a charging station and found it charged better than any other Neo we had tested before. So they are working on these things. We've seen it happen, and hopefully it happens here with the brand. But there's essentially 2 battery packs on offer. You can get an LFP somewhere around that 60, 65 kilowatt hour region. I'm not sure gross versus usable. They always just quote one number. But that should get you just over 500 kilometers in the CLTC cycle, which honestly means nothing. And then you can get the big battery 85 kilowatt hour pack, and that gets you just over 700 kilometers of range in CLTC. Again, probably in the real world, you're looking at 230 to 250 miles on the small one, maybe just over 300 miles on the big one, plus or minus somewhere around there. Really squarely matching what a lot of the car market is doing here in China, going with the sort of medium city-sized battery and big battery. And of course at swap stations, you can exchange them out as you want. Design-wise, I think this car looks amazing. It looks fresh. It looks really not over-styled or over-designed. We've all seen the new Model Y with this kind of big bar in the back, and I just think this looks a little bit more natural. It's a little coupified for my liking. I wish it was more of a box, but in general, I just think it's got this nice presence, this nice quality to it. And after being in the factory of this vehicle, wow, it was a really cool experience. I'm not sure if that video is up yet or coming in the future, but I did shoot a video on how Onvo is produced, which was really, really cool. Come around to the front. I'm going to open up the front hood for you. Let's see what the heck is under here. Head around up that way. So to open the door handles, I should be able just to press here. They pop out, electronically releases. Let's see if we can open up the front. Here we go. Oh, there is a latch, and it is, oh, felt like it was right there. Where's the latch for the hood? See if we can find it. Oh, found it right here. Sweet. No front trunk. Bump, bump, bump. So that's a real disadvantage compared to Tesla in this case. You would really think they could put a front trunk in here, but nope, just some nothing serviceable. Your washer fluid, brake fluid right there, and then panels covering up everything else in this case. So to close the hood, boom, we go down. Loving the light signature right here. Also your headlights down here in this split system, which has become increasingly popular. One thing that's really cool and sort of differentiates this from the Neo brand is while it uses sort of the Neo driver assistance software, it actually has no LiDAR in this vehicle. You'll notice there's no big lip right up there, and it's a camera-only ADAS function. To me, I've seen the argument where more LiDARs are better, and I've seen the argument that humans drive with our own eyes, and so why can't a car just use vision only? I don't know what the future will be. There seems to be this fork in a road as to Tesla and a few others, maybe Onvo being one of them, and now Xiaopeng with their Mona car doing vision only, and then you've got Huawei, Avatar, crazy stuff, 3 LiDARs, and even NIO with their ET9 putting 3 LiDARs in their vehicle. And I'm just not sure what the ending result will be. It's one of those big debate topics, of course, but in case of Onvo, this is a camera-only based system, and I think looks kind of cool with these little, almost like little stuffed animal ears up here on the roof. I think the little cameras looking out that way are really cool, but of course, Tesla puts them here in the B-pillar, has another camera there, one up front. Front camera is huge, by the way. A lot of people like that feature from other Tesla models like Cybertruck. Let me in, let me in. Yeah, okay, maybe it's because I don't have the key on me, but let's jump in the rear seat of the Onvo, and then we'll get into all the tech and software. So jumping in back here, have to say, wow, super cushy, way cushier than a Tesla Model Y equivalent. Alyssa is adjusting my backrest. Thank you very much. Would you mind pushing the backrest forward for me? Oh, lovely. I can get right to the right angle. How is that powered? That's really cool. Nice. And this thing's 7 grand less than a Model Y? Dang. Dark headliner, huge plus. Hate having a light headliner in a car. Onvo listened, we have a dark headliner. I just think that's so cool. And there's another really cool feature that I can do. I can pull out the headrest here. So headrest is gone. By the way, massive glass roof, which is sort of standard in this segment. I can hit this button and that one, and now this is turning into a bed. 1, 2, 5 seconds, 4 seconds. Oh no, it's like a bomb's about to go off. 2, 1, and now it's going. Dang, look at this. And then you can essentially lie flat here or sit back here and put your legs out this way, and it's designed to perfectly match up so you have the flattest possible surface, which is really, I think, a nice feature. You can kind of relax, put this side all the way back. Alyssa, would you mind hitting this switch to full recline? Huh. Maybe it already did go full recline. Yep, it's at full recline. So I'm not going to do it because I don't want to get their seat all dirty, but it just looks like you'd be able to just lounge out that way, which is pretty cool. In terms of sitting back here, the seat comfort is amazing. I mean, it's quite scalloped in the back, tons of headroom from my side. I love the seat belts, this sort of reddish, orangish, very orange seat belt. I just think that's so cool. Single USB-C port in the rear, that's a miss. It should have 2, and then a storage cubby there. You can do some other functions such as controlling the temperature back here. You can choose your music, you can watch videos, and there's even kids functions back here where you can put on kids games. There's even a camera. I guess the camera's up there, but there's a mode that just shows the rear seat view. It's almost like the camera would be here, but it's a glass roof, so I'm not sure where it is, but you could like look at your kids while you're driving down the road and make sure that everything's okay. No seat back pockets, I think, is a weird miss as well. And then, you know, just straight plastic inside the door pockets. But I just tested a new $200,000 Mercedes electric G-Wagon that also had straight plastic in the door pockets, which I thought was egregious on that quality and expensive of a car, but on a car like this, okay, that's totally fine. Totally impressive backseat experience. We've got a screen, we've got tons of space, knee room, headroom, leg room. We've got this sleeping function. We've got air vents everywhere. Actually, just B-pillar vents in this one, but they seem to work really well because I'm getting blasted right now. And just super impressed overall with this so far. What I'm gonna do is put the seat out of relax mode. So we're gonna put it back. Oh no, don't do this one. X, oh gosh, get out of here. How do you put this one back up? It's all in Chinese. No, this is driver's side. Okay, we got to ask someone to translate, or I need my translate app. Maybe this? Oh yeah, there we go. Also heated rear seats, which is a nice touch. I thought this was coming down. I was like, I got to find an exit strategy ASAP. We'll put the headrest back in the correct orientation. Boom, boom. I think we're good. We're saved. yeah, just honestly, if you closed your eyes and opened here, you would imagine this would have been the refreshed Tesla Model Y. You'd go, oh wow, they made it nice and cushy and softer and more comfortable and with nice stitching and nice materials and some thoughtful colors. And then you look at the new refresh Y and you go, maybe this did it better in certain areas. Certainly in certain areas, I think this car is better. In full transparency, the videos will be out of order, but our full Model Y tour will have already been out by the time we shoot this video, but we're filming that tomorrow. So it's hard to totally make all the comparisons in this video, and the Model Y video will just kind of keep about the Model Y. But I mean, like metal grates for the sound system. This is plastic down here, but this is metal. Oh no, that's plastic too. It's all plastic. It just looks nice. Let's jump in the front seat. Jumping into the front seats now, and first of all, these seats are heated, cooled, and massage, which is nice. And you can get a pretty good seating position. You can get this thing low, which I really like. And the steering wheel can also come out pretty far. Let me pull this down, hit the steering wheel button, and look at this. I can get a great seating position in here, which is like really awesome that this thing comes out so far. And it's like, dang, I can fit in here really nicely. Seat on the ground, not totally as low as I would ever like to go, of course, but feels really good. Great viewpoint out the front. Great side view mirrors. If you can show those sort of pillarless side view mirrors are super cool, and they also have a blind spot indication built into it. Yes, of course, it also pulls up an image on the screen when you put your turn signal on. I'll show you that as we're driving. But in terms of the design in here, everything looks pretty nice. It's very Tesla-esque. It really is, you know, it is a Tesla copy in a sense. Tesla set the standard for this type of single screen, but then I think this has adopted that method even in a more premium way. I have a head-up display, which shows me so much information from other cars around. I get basically the full FSD display in the head-up display, which is super cool. So I can see other cars that it wants to see. I can see the route that it wants to go, speed limit, all of those things, directions, which is really fantastic. There is eye tracking here because this system, I think you can turn off all the eye tracking functions and then it still works. It's like, based off my experience with NIO's driver assistance this week, it's like the least naggy driver assistance system ever, which, as you guys know, I own 3 Teslas. Whenever I try and use the screen, beep, beep, FSD freaks out. And that will change as systems improve and get better. But right now, NIO kind of like does a lot, and I can look over here and it's not freaking out on me, which is really nice. Window switches work really well. They are proper up and down switches. A lot of Chinese cars have rocker switches that drive me insane because they always put them the wrong direction. But here, down is down, up is up. The world is happy. We have a really large center console, and to me, this is the worst part of the car. It's just this blob of white. There's no real textures. There's no, like, this just feels cheap, and it doesn't look visually appealing. I wish they could have done something with color or material or trim, maybe even put some, you know, that Alcantara-like material Tesla does in places. That could have really helped. But one big benefit here is the one wireless charger. Tesla has 2. This has 1 wireless charger, but it is cooled, so it works really well, and that's a benefit. And I've found NIO's wireless charging to be really nice. Super deep center console here, 2 USB-C ports in this one, so in total 3 USB-C ports. And yeah, no glove box. What the heck? All the Rivian guys will be like, damn, finally someone else missed out on the glove box life. We've got a 12 volt down here. Don't feel anything else but a nice storage compartment. And the seat just feels great. I mean, to have massage, heated and cooling is yeah, pretty great. Also, I should mention the powertrain. We'll talk about it when we drive, but the dual motor one's like 0 to 60 in like 4.5 seconds. Like, this thing boogies. It's quick. Single motor, not sure, but slower. Just sort of like copy Model Y and paste it here. Same type of thing. The thing that Tesla does do is really good drivetrain tuning. One pedal driving, this doesn't offer. It's a huge miss. And so if you care about some of that stuff, Tesla still is ahead. And I don't understand why Onvo doesn't have one pedal driving yet. To quickly just show you some of the software, it's a massive, super bright display. And I think this feature is really nice. Well, first of all, look at the chip response time on this. Whoa. I love that you can, at least with the driver assistance, kind of change how much, you know, FSD or autopilot or their Navigate, Know Me, autopilot, don't remember exactly what it's called, but their equivalent system on the left and then the maps on the right. It should do route planning with battery swap. So if I type in Beijing and hit go, there we go, 1,215 kilometers. Let's hit go. So there's all of this. There's all of our charging or battery swap stations. So it's going to be a charge, a battery swap, a charge, charge, battery swap. And the reason that it's not all battery swap is this is using a high voltage system architecture, which is unlike the Neos. So this uses a different battery architecture than the Neo cars. And that means that it needs to use mostly generation 4 swap stations and some 3 swap stations, I think, that have Onvo batteries. So they're like adding onto the swap stations all the Onvo batteries and probably adding more because these are getting popular. I've seen these around China already, and it's relatively brand new in pretty big numbers. So either 5 events to get there, whether it's 2 battery swaps and 3 chargers as this one. As time goes on, as they build out that battery swap network, you can swap even more. A lot of you guys in the comments will probably be like, oh, battery swap is silly. It takes, so much money and there's lines and all this stuff. But I've used it for like the last couple thousand miles of driving here in China with Neo cars, and it's all on video. You'll see it on the motoring channel. We roll up, we reserve the time slot based off of our route planner. It pre-reserves the battery. We show up, 3 minutes, we're charged, boom, we go. It's like, maybe like when you think about it, it's kind of wasteful and doesn't seem totally right. But then as a user, man, you just keep up with gas cars, no problem. It's like, oh, actually kind of works. I'm a big fan. So route planning is awesome. The software is super snappy in here. We have a bunch of other functions like charging settings, automatic preconditioning on the way to where you want to go. If you want to choose range and CLTC, which means nothing, or based off of previous driving history, which is what I would recommend to use in this one. Efficiency calculations. I mean, it's just all what you would expect. Individual drive modes, regen settings. You can go to high regen. Again, no one pedal driving. You have your Onvo driver assistance functions here. You can go speed limit offset. This should probably do pretty well. Like if we ran it in the hogback test, would be pretty amazing. And it's like finally a car that basically has all the Tesla stuff in it for less money, and it's real competition. Like that's what I'm excited about. It's running on the Coconut software, which is really fun, and there's a bunch of different features in here. Everything in here is pretty similar to Neo, and I think that's how they were able to pull this off. They had the more expensive sort of mid to upper class electric cars out there. The ET9 is certainly upper class electric car, but they had these mid-tier, Neo cars out there, and they really put a ton of tech in them. And they basically leveraged everything that works from Neo, put it in this car, simplified it down. Everything is vertically integrated at Neo and Onvo, and now they have a essentially Model Y equivalent with very similar feature capabilities for less money. And that just has never happened in our market before. And in China, there's like other cars that kind of compete here. But in my mind, I really think it comes down to Onvo L60 or Model Y. There's a couple of Zeekr models and other stuff that are coming that are cool, no question, that are in this category. But this just feels really well thought out, totally sorted. And like, oh man, I actually don't know if I would choose this over a Tesla or not. It's like you get stocks, you get some nice stuff. I know Model Y Refresh offers a stock for right-hand drive markets, best we could tell. But in general, like this is looking really nice. So what I'd love to do is drive it, see how cushy it is. I'm hoping it's a little bit cushier than a Model Y. I think that's its main issue. And I'd love to share my thoughts on if this can really be a competitor. But it all comes down, of course, from my side to the driving experience. Okay, guys, let's go for a drive in the Onvo L60. No one pedal driving in this one, so it just creeps ahead at about 3 kilometers per hour. And a reasonably okay turning radius. One nice thing that I think is a welcome addition is the turning is so much slower than Model Y. Model Y has a sort of a 2-turn lock-to-lock ratio, and this is like 2, almost 3 turns lock-to-lock, because it goes almost halfway in each direction. So I'm glad that it's a little bit toned down from that super snappy Model Y-like steering. So this is going to be really cool to experience this car. I'm looking for some of that Neo technology that made its way into Onvo here. And now we are heading out just for a little city drive, just to get a sense of what this thing is like. Obviously not spending all that much time with it. But first of all, I'm actually liking the square steering wheel. I think it's pretty cool. And yeah, just waiting for the light to go green here. And then another 14 seconds, we'll be back with you. We are out on the road now, and it's time to, since it's open, we'll try some acceleration. So in 3, 2, 1. Wow, great response, really good power. Definitely picks up the pace. Feels nice. Feels like, Model Y long range type acceleration. Soft, nose comes up. Feels really, really good here, I would say. So just jumping in the left lane, nice sight lines around, huge mirrors full of glass, really good view around the sides, and the back is a little bit of a small window. Alyssa, if you can point to the back, you can see just a little bit of a small window, but not the end of the world. And now we're going to be heading. I love that when I put the turn signal on, the cameras do show up so I can see everything there. I really think the one big miss here is just no one pedal driving. We're so used to it. So many drivers absolutely love it. So I have regen in full, and it'll pull us down to here about 7 miles per hour, and then I got to hit the brake pedal. One cool feature about the brake pedal in this is it is brake by wire, which means the brake pedal can add regen. Once it maxes out its regen capability, it will then blend to friction brakes. And it does this smooth stop function that we've been seeing from a lot more Chinese cars, and essentially means I can target a single brake pedal pressure, and then right at the end it will sort of release the brakes a little bit so you don't get as much sort of forward and back head toss as you hit the brakes or come to a stop. I think it's a really nice function because most drivers probably don't do that, even though they should. Also, have to commend Onvo on the turn signal sound. It's a really nice turn signal sound, not annoying at all, stays sort of in the background, but it's just a nice, solid click. Take a listen. Yeah, really good. Also, very impressive to have, this massive head-up display in front of me. And by massive, I mean in terms of information. I've got a bunch of different turns, my speed, the fact that I'm in auto hold, the information here on the map that the camera-only system is picking up is really amazing. So in the US, it's so funny how there's no FSD-like competition, except here in China, there's a lot of city and highway capable driver assistance systems that are working. And the fact that it can just see so much of what's going on, not using any LiDAR again, is really cool, and I think encouraging to make sensors and systems like this super capable in cars that don't necessarily have to cost a lot of money. Because LiDARs can get fairly expensive. The cost is coming down to a few $100 a piece, but still on a car that's so price sensitive in this market, I'm really glad they went camera only, which is really kind of cool. All right, guys, we are heading out. We're making a super complicated left turn here. I'm not sure the system's going to be able to do it, but we'll certainly try. So the Q3 is making a turn. It's somewhat going around. It's going to have to negotiate across all this traffic, and it doesn't necessarily want to, so we're going to just get ourselves over here, and then I'll put on the system. That was like uber next level hard turn for a lot of these types of systems. So now we are turned on. I'm going to monitor the system, of course, but my first time experiencing the Onvo's driver assistance camera only, which is cool to see. So it knows that the signal's on the A5 in front. It can really see quite a bit of what's going on around us. Bunch of cameras and sensors going on here. Love that it's really working so smoothly so far. Let's see what happens here with cars slow on the right. Nothing unusual. This guy's kind of coming into our lane, just pushed us a little bit to the left. Want it to hit the throttle now. Let's go. And there it does perfectly. I can always, push the car a little bit. There's a person standing here, so we are moving to the left. Super smart. It automatically gave him more room. Wow, that was very impressive. Normally I would have to take over in a typical lane centering system to give room to that situation, but it recognized that there was a person there and shoved over. That was so cool. Also, I have to mention the ride quality it's firm-ish. This bus is going to confuse it, so I'm hitting the throttle now, and we have to take over. So that was, again, another complicated system, and that's where really some of the super high-end systems can come into play and help out to get through there. Pretty sensitive throttle, too. A little bit of pressure there. Woof, really got us up and going. So I think first, let me just discuss a little bit of the suspension feeling in this car. It's planted in the sense that we rode around before we started filming too, that it's definitely softer than the outgoing Model Y. I have not tested the new Model Y, but in the sense that you do still feel the bumps. It's a passive suspension system, and the fact that it is passive means that it needs to handle comfortable driving and sporty driving. So you have to pick this sort of medium base. And I would say they almost erred a little bit on the sporty side, but when you factor in this thing is like 4.5 seconds or less 0 to 60, well, okay, kind of makes sense. I wonder if the single motor would be even smoother. Not sure. Maybe something we can test out into the future at some point. So as we come out this way, we're going to jump onto the highway here in rush hour traffic in Shanghai. I just got a little blind spot warning indication that pops up actually in the mirror. And of course I have the display right here on the screen, which is nice. And we're able to do a hard acceleration probably as we make our way up onto the highway. So I see no scooters coming. And you guys ready for some acceleration? Let's launch it. Well, not launch it. 20 kph roll. Damn, really feeds in the power. Gives you full power up to about 80 kilometers per hour. Sits back nicely, just super smooth. The response time, instant, really nice. None of this artificial lag that's come into so many cars that I've driven recently here in China. This feels really nicely tuned. I'm kind of impressed. We'll go back onto, oh wait, sorry, this button over here. We'll go back onto driver assistance, and now we're on the highway. We'll do automatic lane changes. It'll do, you know, typical enhanced autopilot stuff. It should also, of course, take the exit for us, which is fairly basic considering what the capabilities are in the city. I would say, you know, in terms of its capability, based off of other systems in the market, I'd say, you know, 6 or 7 out of 10. Like, it really is trying to accomplish hard tasks. And as it gains more data and drives more, and they send software updates to this vehicle, the driver assistance can improve and improve and improve and handle even more of those super complex city-like situations. But noise performance seems good, power response feels good, suspension, again, airs maybe a little bit on the sporty side than the comfort side. For me, that's a great thing. For maybe some drivers who want the ultimate comfortable experience, maybe not. But it just feels like a really nice city cruiser, urban cruiser, and honestly long distance car as well, supporting battery swap, super high voltage, probably pretty good charging as well. It might be an overall really nice package. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Would you go Onvo L60 or Tesla Model Y? Really curious to see what you think. We're gonna let it do this right-hand turn on its own, which it seems to want to be doing, and then I'll leave you with this portion of the video. I'll leave you with the whole video and your final thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. That was pretty impressive. Now it's going to the left, although there's a car coming to the left, so it's moving out of the way. That's the little stuff that I think they still need to work on, just a little bit of that tuning, sending mixed messages around. But there you go. Pretty cool to have something that looks like a Model Y, feels maybe even better than a Model Y in certain areas on the road, and has a really powerful software experience and driver assistance. There's nothing like this in America that even comes close. Would you guys buy this if it was in the US? Would you buy this if it's in Europe? Can't wait to hear what you think. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on another one again soon. Bye-bye.